Bright suns and rising moons, fellow droids. Welcome to the Not the Droids podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Mayuri, and today we are talking about episode 4 of The Acolyte titled Day. Um, I assume it came out last year, but when did it actually?
June 18th, 2024 on Disney Plus.
Nice. This was confusing when it started, actually. Because I understand that Kelnaka is the Wookiee, that he's the next target. So, but they're just like showing him living in his like little domicile.
In his
And
his hermit life.
his
He's the hermit life.
shelter, hermit life, whatever. But they flash to the iconography on the wall, and
Mhm.
that's the witches iconography, no? Because then that's confusing to me.
I'm not positive. Yeah, I'm not sure. It felt like it.
Well, it's just like the circle symbols,
Yeah, it's the
and
imaging. Yeah.
I feel like that's the witch imaging in the show because I feel like we just came off of the other episode, which now that I'm seeing it in between the two, it did feel kind of jarring and like jammed in there. Like we
Hmm.
needed the history, but like I don't know that I love the way we got it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like it almost should have been like,
Spread out.
I don't know, because I'm
I don't
like,
know how else they
I
could
don't
have
want,
done
yeah, I
it.
don't know how they did it because I don't really want it to have been like the pilot episode because
Yeah,
then you're
because
not
that would have
invested yet
been
because you're just like, what's up here?
well, I
But
feel like in terms of if they had to put it somewhere,
yeah,
where it is perfectly fine
yeah,
because it is just engaging enough. Like you're engaged into their backstory. You
yes.
know that they're both alive. And I feel like that's the place to put it before we keep going. But like
Hmm.
it just feels it was
Pushed it,
such a
yeah,
yeah. It was just so jarring to go to that and then go immediately back to where we ended episode 2.
yes,
Because episode 2 ended with Kalnaka and episode 4 started with Kanalka.
yeah.
And so that's, I think, where I'm feeling like a little
And
lost.
maybe that's why they did it is they're like, hey, we're now jumping back, so we want to bring back you where we ended here before the flashback.
Yeah. And so that's where it's just like, that's why I was wondering if those like circular symbols actually meant something more because we got the flashback of
Yeah,
their
I
history.
don't know if we'll find out or if they'll just be like, there used to be witches here. This is a rundown. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever that was. But yeah, it was just like such a brief glimpse
Yeah.
that I was just like, oh, this poor man just living alone. Is he also haunted
Yeah.
by what happened? Is that what they're kind of showing? Is like everybody who was involved with the Brundock situation is at
Was,
some point
yes.
haunted by it?
And so we felt when we start off with May
Yeah.
discussing how she needs to off Kilnaka without a weapon.
I honestly am so obsessed with that character Chimere, Manny's character, because like he's so adorable and harmless, and yet also a killer. And having trained under this master, like that's where, and I know I'm just like, I know I said I thought he was the master before, but now I feel like he's not. He's so entirely unserious. I
So
don't,
like goofy.
yeah, I'm just like, what is his deal? But like the way they
He feels like
interact.
someone like when they're walking through the woods, I'm like, I wouldn't be trusting what he's saying.
Also, he's the guide. He's the guide. I
Yep.
don't know. I thought it was adorable. But yeah, we come to May, and I still don't understand this thing with like killing without a weapon. Like, does how is she supposed to do that? But I assume that's part of the training. Like they talk about it later too.
Yeah.
Um,
That it's her final lesson and that it's possible. It's just,
it's just like you have to have no morals to do. Essentially, like you just have to kill for the sake of killing.
yeah.
I don't know. But that's where I was just like, I also don't understand why his character is helping her character so much. And like, what is the actual history there? Like, how long? I'm still so incredibly curious as to what May did
Hmm.
after the fire, because we know what Osha did,
Yeah.
right?
May's
Osha
history
went to,
is unknown to us.
and so that's where it's like, at what point, how did she get off of Brendock, first of all?
Hmm.
And at what point did she get like hook up with Kymir and the Master,
Yeah.
right? Like when did she start training? Because it's like obvious Osha's is a lot easier to follow,
Yes.
right? Like they took her to Coruscant right after.
Yes.
Um and that's why like we flash next to Osha who's like, I'm done, like I'm going. And I was like, where are you going?
So yeah, like got Pip is packed,
I know
like
Pip
he
is like
goes to say
sparkling
goodbye to
new.
the Padawan, like
Jackie.
so. Girl
But
from
that's where
Wolverine.
I thought it was really telling that she would not say bye to Saul.
Yeah.
That she was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother him. I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah.
Um, but I love like her relationship with Pip, where he was clearly get irritated that she's never serviced him before,
Hmm.
and he just like is so shiny and new and stuff. It's so great.
I
Um,
love Pip.
but yeah, so then I just the comment that she made when they asked her to go on the mission, right? Like Saul is like,
Yeah, well,
oh
before
shit,
that, we see them having the discussion with just all the
oh yeah,
Jedi
the
being
Jedi
like,
Masters.
how are we gonna catch this girl? Like, what are we gonna do?
I also
And
thought it was
then the other Jedi that goes up to Soul, like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, oh, I was gonna, no, like 16 years ago, why didn't you tell me? Like,
yeah, but like he didn't think there was any like how could anybody
yeah.
that's I said this last time, like how did she survive that fall?
Hmm.
Because it doesn't make any sense. That little psycho, how did she survive that fall?
We don't know.
So, and that's where so
So
I thought
Soul
it was
goes to Osha then.
yeah. Well, so I thought it was really telling in that conversation where they talk about how they want to talk to the council, but that the council again has an obligation to tell the Senate, and
Yeah.
they don't want the Jedi Order to look weak.
Yeah.
Because this is a time in history where the Jedi Order is in power. So
Yeah.
there are so many politics to
Yeah,
play.
a lot of politics in play.
Um, but I love that when he goes to ask Osha to come, that her only like obviously she was reluctant, but she said yes because he asked her like they'll let us both go if you
Mhm.
go. Where she's like, I don't want to wear a civilian
Yeah.
robe.
Well, but like before that, it was interesting because like from here we had like Fornland that she left the Jedi Order, but the way she talks to Saul is like, "Oh, you want me to be a Jedi again?" Like it wasn't all her choice. And he's like, "Oh no."
I know that was so sad, actually.
Yeah. And then we also heard from her while talking to Jackie, I think, was that she could not be a Jedi because she could not accept her what she had lost and that she resented her sister.
Yeah.
So,
And so like the fact that May is alive changes that, right? Like to her
mhm.
perception. But I still think she's so mad at her sister. Like I don't know that she would be a good Jedi regardless. But I do think
Yeah.
she misses it. Like you see her in the very top, like the beginning of this part,
Hmm.
watching them doing the exercises, which
Yes.
first of all, they look super cool doing. Um, but like just watching and reminiscing about when she was training,
Yes.
I feel like. And so like I feel like part of her does want
I
to
think part of her
return to the
does,
order.
and maybe even more than just part. I feel like she misses that camaraderie, but also like then they're on the planet and she starts sensing things again.
Yeah. So sorry. So yeah, so that's where I'm just like I'm really curious as to why exactly she got booted or if she was just like politely asked to resign,
Yeah, or was it just like we need you to resign so we don't have to be the ones to,
like to kick you out.
you know, I'm like, we need you to make this choice.
So yeah, so I do love that she was like, I don't want to wear a civilian robe, and then they flash forward to her, and I think she's wearing a civilian robe.
She's not in robe, she's not in her own clothes, wasn't she?
Oh
Oh no, she was in something else.
yeah, I don't know if that's
I
a
don't know.
civilian robe that she's talking about.
Yeah.
But basically, like, I don't want to look like a noob.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. I thought it was so funny that they had the little tracker animal and Pip have their little tiff and like
Basil.
Basil, and then Pip sprays it with water. And Ursha's like, I'm so sorry. Like I don't
Make
control
no
this droid.
sense.
Like I'm so sorry. But then it just like calls into the fact that Yord is such a tool. I was like, what
Yeah.
is wrong with him? and there's nothing wrong with him, but I just like I thought that him and Osha, and he says it
I just
later,
don't
like
like his personality. The fact that we know he used to be her friend and this is the way he acts, we're just like, oh, I don't like him.
he even says it like I've known you since you were a youngling.
I wonder if he felt threatened by her, and now that she's
Coming back.
back, he's like, oh, if they accept her back.
Like he's got feelings about it.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is interesting. But yeah, I did see some cool technology in this that I've not seen before. Jackie, when she's talking to a local,
Hmm.
sticks a machine on her throat, like a translating machine. I've never
Yeah.
seen that. Is that a thing?
Translate.
I don't know. Like she,
It's probably a universal translator.
I just thought that that was cool because I've not seen it before. And I knew there was a way that they must communicate with other
Yeah.
languages. Like they even said it like they all study a language. Yord says it that he studied the language that the tracker, I forget its name again,
Basil.
Basil
Not
speaks.
basil, basil.
Basil. Whereas most people go for the Wookiee speak, whatchamacallit,
Shriwook.
the Shriwook. So he's just like, I am different than
He just
everybody.
feels so pompous.
Thank you. I was just like, every time this man talks, I'm just like, why? The attitude.
Yeah, so then we go back and forth between Osha and May. So Osha
Yeah.
has now sensed things and she says, I feel different and is sensing things, while May is having it out, being like, we're in the middle of nowhere.
She's
I'm
like running.
tired. I'm tired.
They are like running though.
Hmm.
The two of them are at a full sprint through that forest.
Yes.
And this is where it's like, Chimera is like, we're gonna make it. And I'm like, is there a time limit? Like, do you know
Yeah, like, do
something?
you need to wait before the sun sets or something?
Like, what's going on? Or maybe he knows something about the forest that he doesn't want to be there in the dark.
Maybe.
So, and I thought it was super sus, where he was just like, you know what? You're right. Take a break. I will be right back.
Yeah.
Where does this
That's
man go?
that is sus, but it also sets her up to be like, you know what? My loyalty is not to this unknown master. It is to my sister because I know she's alive now,
Well, because like
and I'm gonna go turn myself in.
they had this whole conversation where he told her, he's like, OSHA being alive doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And now she's like, actually,
No, it
OSHA being
does.
alive changes everything.
Yeah.
And I like how she like was so upbeat. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna turn myself into Kalnaka, not
I'm
even think
gonna give
about,
him all this information, so I'm not gonna be jailed.
and then I'm just gonna leave. And he's just like, yo, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
He's gonna kill you if you give him up. Um, and then I will
And
say,
she's like,
like,
not if he can't find me.
I have to just like before we talk about the epic ending,
Hmm.
the situation where the Jedi were walking through the forest, and I was like, oh, look at those big rocks on the trees. And then I was like, oh, they're not rocks. They're giant bugs. And then I was just like, what a name. Umbra Moth. I hated it. I hated every moment of that. And I was just like, I should have known. I
Yeah.
should have known. But like she says something very telling, which is like maybe how she feels about herself, where she was just like, I started to feel things and felt like something could happen, but like I felt that creature, and because I felt that creature, it disturbed it, and now it's dead.
Yeah.
And so like she's taking ownership over the fact that like if she had not touched the creature, it would not have attacked her
Yeah.
and it would not be dead. So it's like her fault. And so I'm like, I wonder if that's like bringing up that like past trauma of like like her conversation with May is what really set May off to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Because at this point, she thinks May killed everybody.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that May killed everybody.
She was like 8. She
I
didn't kill her.
know. And they
I think
like,
she just set a fire.
yeah. I mean, she was psycho, right? Like, you can't
Yeah,
leave.
but
I'm
I
gonna
don't
kill
think
you. But
she would have not been able to kill a bunch of witches who all have power. And she would have never killed her mother.
Exactly. And that's where I'm just like, but from Osha's point of view, May is the one who did all of that. Right.
So,
So like when she says like May is a murderer, like when she was talking to Yord, like I'm not going to be able to bring her in. I need you to bring her
yeah.
in. Because I cannot hesitate for a second time.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's just like we come to this like building up of the end where like May is happy because she's like, you know what? I'm gonna
Yeah.
turn myself in. I'm gonna get to like be with Osha. And as soon as she walked in to that place, and I'm like, oh no,
Well, Basil starts yelling, first of
yeah,
all.
which was hilarious to be honest.
And so then they find her. They get into this temple, Kanaka's.
I know it's not really well, but that's why it was like her realization that her dream is now dead
Yeah.
because her master is here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because Kanaka is dead, not by choice. It was
Mm-hmm.
definitely a
And Soul
lightsaber
was
wound.
like, Osha, stay behind us. Well, guess who comes up from behind us?
Also, like, there are so many Jedi on this mission. I was looking at the lineup of them and I was like,
A lot of Jedi.
I know we're at a time where Jedi are like everywhere, but like,
This is
did
a
they
lot.
really need this many Jedi in the contingent?
A lot of
Um,
Jedi, and they all get blown away by one.
that's where I was just like, I was like,
This dude's
holy,
powerful.
I was like, holy dude. Well, because like first, he literally just went like this, and Osha just like a rag doll,
She's
just
gone.
like.
Yeah.
But that says a lot, right? Because he didn't. He could have. I thought he might kill her. Like obviously, like looking at the fact that we have 4 more episodes, I know he
Yeah.
didn't kill her. But I honestly like why? Because in that moment he was there, there was no one protecting Osha from him. He was right up on her, and he was creepy. That mask is still very creepy. And I'm just kind of like, what? And so that's where he just like blew them all away in one. And like we've seen Jedi work, like we see them struggle,
Yeah.
right? Like we saw
There was no
Saul,
struggle. It was a whoop.
yeah, because like Saul lifting Osha from when she fell, like he was struggling with it.
Yeah.
So like to see him just like blow all these Jedi away without even a thought, with like no strain in his body, I was like,
Mhm.
how many of these Jedi are gonna die right now?
All of them.
Well, not Saul. Saul can't die.
The canny.
I think May, well, so does this affect May's task? Because May did not, in fact, kill Kelnaka,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is where it's really sus with Kymir, because, like, now again, I think Kymir is the master because they're never in the same scenes.
Well, and they were also like, May was like, he's not here. He can't find me. Well, he's here.
He's here, but it's just like Kymir had enough time to
Unhide a new uniform and a mask because
kill
he definitely
Kanaka,
wasn't carrying it.
kill
Kill a
Kanaka.
Wookiee.
Okay, maybe he doesn't have enough time, and I'm just being hopeful because I can see his arms, and I'm like, is that Manny Jacinto's arms? Am I judging by the actor's physique? I'm like, I see
You
the
are.
arms, but it could be anybody's arms. It could be, it kind of. I just, I don't know. That mask though freaks me out more than any other mask in Star Wars has ever. I'm like, what is that?
Seen
But
it.
that's where it's like Osha's character is terrified. She's like,
Yeah.
who is this?
Yeah.
But
And I think it's
I
part
was,
of it because she can sense the power he has now that she's sensing things again.
yeah, so maybe she does. But like when he comes out with the red lightsaber, I was like, oh, I don't know.
And that's
I'm
how it
very
ends. It
concerned.
just ends.
I know that's why I'm like, I'm very concerned for the next episode because I'm like, where are we going from here? Are
It
they
just
gonna
ends.
fight or is he just blowing the Jedi away so that he could take May and leave?
Or is he
And
now going to take both of them?
also like May was about to just about to snitch on him.
Yep,
Like, are they both now in danger?
maybe.
I don't know. So the other thing is, it's just like, does he know their origin? Because they're not normal humans.
He probably knows what May knows.
And so that's where I'm just like, is that why he wants May so badly?
Maybe.
So I don't know. I'm very anxious for the next episode.
Well, until next time, we're not the droids you're looking for.
But where are the droids you're gonna get?